Hello, everyone. It is with great pain and suffering that I must introduce you all to AI generated Félix Guattari. Yep. So I found this channel the other day. Now, to be fair to this channel, it does disclose the use of AI, and that's the very fucking least that you can do, I guess. And they say, I reconstruct thinkers and philosophers using AI to expose their thoughts. Scenes are fictional, bringing philosophy and psychology to life. Wow, you must have a really dire opinion of psychology and philosophy if you need to have AI to bring it to life. But yeah, I came across this the other day because when I was searching for images of Félix Guattari that are just randomly posted on the internet, which is something that happens, quite frequently, and sometimes I find some very cool images that have never been seen before because, some random person goes through their collection and they're like, oh yeah, this is, a picture I took of him when I was in, Brazil. Isn't this cool? And I just add that to my collection of pictures of him, right? And I found a picture from this AI generated lecture here, right? And it was, oh my god. The classroom gets me. I didn't see the classroom part. It was on his Instagram or something. So, it was maybe a different video or something. I did not see the classroom part. Now, I'm not going to be reviewing the content of these videos because I feel that, improving the quality of the output of these AI should be really something that is an exercise to the observer as opposed to, my job saying what they should fix so that they know exactly what kind of data to train it on. I think that, Deleuze and Guattari and all these other, most of these other philosophers are really just people that you need to engage with the text to really, pull something out of it, right? Anyways, so first off, I did not see the classroom though. That took me by surprise. It was like Felix was talking in front of a classroom. Okay. I'm not gonna really judge the content of this, but obviously if you pay some close attention, you'll see some weird stuff with the footage. I mean, the fake footage shit doesn't even look real. But where's the classroom? Show me the classroom part. Yes! The classroom. Oh my god. It's like he's talking in front of stock footage. What the fuck? Okay. So, now that I've had a small laugh about this, I want to explain why this is actually really irritating. And even though it's, disclosed to be AI, he's not hiding it. He's writing all this stuff. Right, that says it's AI right here. But let me explain to you why I just find this really, really frustrating and infuriating. So first thing to know about my channel, right? So I'm just gonna open up. So my main channel and my secondary channel, you might notice they have an emphasis on Félix Guattari being brought to life as a cartoon character. Like a lot of these thumbnails have artwork that I've drawn of a very specific photo of Félix Guattari, specifically this one that appears in this thumbnail. But you can see that I'm clearly repeating his face everywhere as kind of a sort of reanimation, right, in different media. That's a big part and concept of of my channel, right? Taking that character and repeating the image in that face. And you see it here too. And I even use the character as a as a 3D model for testing in my game, right? So to be clear, I'm not having a problem necessarily with reanimating this man's face to say things that he didn't necessarily say in life, right? What I have a problem with is that this looks a lot to somebody who's not paying attention, this would be very difficult to distinguish from, actual footage of these guys. The Jill Deleuze one clearly is trained on this particular video about, beware of the other's dream or whatever, right? Good thing I turned off the volume. Apparently it's auto-dubbed. That's gross. But anyways, this is what an actual, like, archival footage of Deleuze looks like in comparison. You can see that it's like, it has a totally different quality to the film and everything, but that could totally fool people. And I'm not going to show it on Facebook because I really don't want to open Facebook right now, but it's fooling people on Facebook. That's what I'm going to say. People are not reading the description, obviously. Like, who reads the description? Like, at least, like, on this channel, they're saying it's fantasy class, but, like, this is all fake. This is not even really, like, a good summarization of, like, Guattari's stuff. And I'll explain in, like, a way that, again, encourages people who are doing this kind of thing to actually read and engage with Guattari's work, as opposed to just shoving it in a computer. Like, how do I put this politely? Guattari has, like, developments in his career of, like, his ideas that can be traced. Like, for example, he doesn't really talk about ecosophy until, like, the last, 5 or 10 years of his life, right? He doesn't really, it's not that he doesn't focus on ecology, but the concept of ecosophy comes later, right? But in comparison, all of these ideas that he's trying to cook before A Thousand Plateaus, relating to things like ideas like desiring production and, his conceptions of machines evolving and stuff, essentially, you can accurately gauge what time frame Guattari is talking about just by reading the text, right? But the problem is that means that every single text, he's actually a very different shade of Guattari, right? So when I regurgitate this, right, back to, through an AI, right, and make it look like a real lecture and make it look like some footage I haven't seen before, right, it basically doesn't make sense, I think is the most, like, blunt way to put it. And you might be like, well, Felix doesn't make sense anyway. No, that's not true. He is actually somebody who's pretty coherent. He's just, you have to look at him from a different angle. He's not a typical philosopher. He's not a typical writer. But if you are earnest about trying to understand who he is as a person, then, you're going to understand these things. And again, like, yes, I understand that he discloses that this is AI and that this is made up. But, like, one, I don't really understand, like, the artistic value that something, like, bringing something like this into existence really has, like, other than just, like he says right here, where is it? Wait, is this real? That's AI magic. I use generative tools to breathe life into these what-if moments, recreating the voice of a thinker who sits at the intersection of psychiatry, philosophy, and political urgency, and whose ideas have never been more relevant. Well, like, if you actually think his ideas are relevant, wouldn't you... I mean, at least wouldn't you, like, direct the script a bit more so it didn't feel like he was just taking an intersection of all of these different pieces of his work and even saying things that he probably would never say, right? I don't want to really take the time to review the script. That's not really what this video is about. It's more about just, like, raising awareness to this. But, yeah, this video is based entirely on chaosmosis. The script is a dramatized summary, not a textual quotation, but remains faithful to the book's core arguments, examples, and philosophical vocabulary, including Guattari's own examples from Laborde Clinic. Like, why don't you just read the book? Like, why don't you just produce a summary from that? Like, I just don't get it. Like, if you really respected the work, you would just summarize it, right? I mean, it's 8 essays. I don't remember all the 8 essays on the top of my head. But, like, you're potentially very confusing people. And, like, again, people don't read this description. People don't read this. People see this and share it and act like it's real because, if you're, like, watching something on Instagram, you're gonna think, oh, wow, that's really cool looking. You're not gonna pay attention because you're scrolling, right? And it's just like, yeah, I'm glad people are calling this out. Perhaps an AI translation of a real lecture, yes, but a fabrication, this is misleading even with the tag. Generative AI has no place in this kind of philosophical discourse. I agree. I guess apparently in the video he talks in English. I don't even want to touch that. Yeah, he uploaded this Jill Deleuze one, like, apparently, like, yesterday. Oh my god. But I think what's funny is that if you keep scrolling, we got an interview with Karl Marx. It's crazy how, like, you could tell which ones were actually trained on real footage. Cause, like, the Karl Marx one looks like a fucking bizarre movie. An interview with Leonardo da Vinci. Oh my god. So yeah, don't do this. This is gross. And I guess if you want, again, like, animating people to say things that they didn't say is not necessarily wrong in of itself. Like, I literally have YouTube videos on this channel where I take actual footage of Guattari and talk over it and say my own opinions. But, like, nobody's gonna confuse this video for something that he actually said, you know? Like, and the thing is that people are gonna take this shit out of context. They're gonna, it just literally is wrong. Wrong, bad, sorry.